It's Bucket. These last couple of updates in all the mods 10 have been off the rails. But today, we're going to be covering the fantasy mod that brings us many different mythical beasts, Ice and Fire. The addition of Ice and Fire brings us many mythical beasts to discover. In the ocean, you might have befriended some hippocampuses, the horses of the sea. Or you might have gotten body slammed by a giant sea serpent. But for most of Ice and Fire, you're gonna have to go to the other dimension. If you're not familiar, to get to the other, you need to use a teleport pad from the nether. If you haven't been there before, expect danger. The intended way to start the mod is to loot manuscripts which you can find in chests in any Ice and Fire structures. Using these, you can craft a bestiary and a bestiary lectern. The bestiary is essentially the Ice and Fire guidebook. Using the bestiary with the lectern, you have a choice between various entries which you can unlock by adding more manuscripts to your bestiary. Now there's quite a few different beasts, but we're going to be focusing on the most important one, dragons. In the other, you can find 3 different types of dragons. Fire dragons can be found in Crimson Forests, Ice dragons in Warp Forests, and Lightning dragons in deserts or desert hills. To help you find biomes, you can use a nature's compass. What we've been looking at are dragon roosts, and to help you find them, you can look up dragon roosts in an explorer's compass. These are the structures on the surface where you'll find stage 3 dragons. The larger stage 4 and 5 dragons can only be found underground in dragon caves. After slaying a dragon, right-clicking its corpse with an empty fist will get you scales, flesh, and a heart. If you right-click the corpse with glass bottles, you instead get dragon's blood. When all that's left is a skeleton, you get bones, a dragon skull, and pearls. These pearls can then be crafted into eyes, and similarly like the eyes of Ender, will help you find another dragon structure. Looting a stage 4 or 5 female dragon also gives you a chance to loot a dragon egg. Stage 5 can sometimes give 2. You also just find dragon skeletons in the world, and you'll be able to loot these as well. A lot of these materials can be used as crafting materials. Dragon bone and dragon scale tools and armor aren't anything too exciting, although dragon scale armor does look nice. You can however combine dragon's blood with the dragon bone sword. Although not extremely powerful, this will give an ability and deal extra damage to certain dragons. That being said, who decided this was a good idea? Crafting Dragon Seekers can help you find more dragons. Using it will let you know if there's a dragon in range. But honestly, we have much better options available to us. I've mentioned the eyes in the Explorer's Compass, but I'd also recommend using a Spectral Eye Amulet from Forbidden Arcanus. When the amulet's activated, it'll let you see mobs through walls. Not to mention it has a huge range, so it's pretty good for finding dragons. That being said, underground dragons don't seem to show up unless you deliberately dig down towards them. So for those, you will have to use this together with an Explorer's Compass. For the most part, you're going to want a lot of scales and bones to craft a Dragon Forge. Each type of dragon has their own Dragon Forge. Yes, that's right. Dragon Forges are powered by dragons blasting into the aperture block. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you can pipe things in or out of a Dragon Forge, so you might be out of luck when it comes to automating it. However, if you build multiple Dragon Forges, they can share walls, which means you can have them running simultaneously and save a lot of materials. I can fit 9 Dragon Forges together and have 1 dragon powering all of them. In all the mods 10, Dragon Forges provide an alternate recipe for the ATM alloys. These will only require a bucket of each of the molten metals, which you can get through Productive Metalworks Foundry, and this will make an ATM alloy block. Each alloy will require a different type of dragon, so you'll need all 3 types of dragons and all 3 types of Dragon Forges. Dragon Forges can also be used to create dragon steel from dragon's blood and iron. Now dragon steel is something to be more excited about, in particular dragon steel armor. Just to give you an idea, a full set of unobtainium armor gives you 40 armor. A full set of dragon steel armor gives you 74 armor. Getting the materials together for a Dragon Forge is not easy. To craft 4 bricks, you need 5 scale blocks. You also need 8 bricks to craft the core and 4 for the aperture. So in total, you're gonna need 29 bricks, which works out to be 360 scales. So how many scales can we get from dragons? To find out just how many scales we could reliably gain from dragons, I went and massacred 50 dragons of every stage with the help of a command block. And then I went ahead and took the averages for you. You're welcome. As you can see, stage 5 dragons do drop significantly more, although they are quite rare and there's not really any way we can control that. But basically, looking at these stats, if you were to go for stage 4 and 5 dragons, for 360 scales, we're looking at about 3 to 6 dragons for 1 Dragon Forge. And of course, that's not accounting for any blood that you might want for Dragon Steel. But of course, this is all the mods 10. So, how do we farm dragons? Unfortunately, Ice and Fire mobs are blacklisted from just about every method under the sun. No swabbing, no ender leads into spawners, no mob duplicators, no entity spawners. You can't even farm them with Drigmies or wannabes. But there's one they missed. Source spawners are from the Ars Nouveau add-on Ars Editions. When provided with Source, it'll spawn mobs based on any mobs that you have in containment jars nearby. And as ridiculous as dragons look inside containment jars, this will spawn more dragons. Except for whatever reason, it seems to only spawn 0-day-old stage 1 female dragons. Evilcraft. Not an amazing alternative, but using Evilcraft, we can make dragon spawn eggs. Slaying a dragon will spawn a vengeance spirit. If you want to be able to see it, you need some spectral glasses. Place a box of eternal closure on the ground. Using a vengeance focus, this, we can fire a beam at the spirit and Ghostbusters it into the box. Note that the Vengeance Spirit will despawn fairly quickly, so you want to make sure that you're well prepared going into this. Then we'll need to use a Spirit Reanimator. As with all Evilcraft things, it'll need blood. It's quite slow, so you might want some Evilcraft upgrades or something to tick accelerate it. With the box and a chicken egg, we can create a spawn egg. Then we can spawn a dragon, slay the dragon, catch the spirit, make an egg, spawn a dragon. You get the idea. Mausoleums are the home of the dreaded, the undead of ice and fire. The front door to these structures are locked. The key for it has a 15% chance to drop from a Dreadlich, which has a 3% chance of spawning. And the walls are unbreakable. Fortunately, in all the mods 10, that's not going to be enough to stop us. An Eclipse Gate 1 from Just Dire Things will temporarily remove walls, allowing you to walk straight in. An Advanced Swapper from Just Dire Things will swap things from one swapper to the other. Since Advanced Swappers can be set at a distance, we can set the second one to target a space on the other side of the wall. Give them both power and link them together with a Ferrocore Wrench. Then set it to swap players and use it to swap ourselves inside. Just make sure you have a teleport to get out. Self-Blink spell from ours will teleport you a short distance forward, meaning you can teleport through walls. Oh, and did I say these walls are unbreakable? You can actually use a Destruction Gadget to break these walls. Inside, you run into a bunch of undead. You also find loot chests with various ice and fire loot. But all the way inside, you'll find a partially made Ice Dragon Forge. This is huge. Finding 2 mausoleums essentially gives you an entire Ice Dragon Forge. Oh, and there's also this giant portal. That takes you to the Dreadlands. Currently, there's not much there as it's unfinished, but supposedly, that's where you're supposed to find the Dread Queen, if she ever gets added. Also, going back to the portal will actually send you back to the overworld. And then there's this. The mausoleum is filled with Dreadstone mob spawners. These are very similar to Apothic spawners. You can move them with cardboard boxes, but you won't be able to mine them, not even with Silk Touch. By default, they'll be set to various undead ice and fire mobs. But using a spawn egg on them will set the spawner to spawn that mob. Hey, remember that spawn egg that we can make with Evilcraft? Here's the thing. As of making this video, these work on dragons. And they also work for mimics, wardens, occultism mobs, although they don't seem to work for the other boss mobs. So don't expect these to stay this way. Oh, and if you are trying to farm dragon steel, there's bees for that. To craft them, you'll need to put draconic bee spawn eggs through the Dragon Forge. I'm also just now hearing that in an upcoming update, we're gonna have mystical agriculture dragon seeds. Each type of dragon will have their own seed, and these will be crafted in the Dragon Forge using a dragon egg seed. They will also use a Dragon Forge brick as a crux, meaning that you'll have to place the correct Dragon Forge brick underneath the farmland in order to grow them. And with the essence from these, you'll be able to craft scales, dragon blood, as well as dragon steel. Now, as I mentioned, you will need a dragon to power your forge. Dragons will need to be stage 2 or higher to be able to breathe fire, ice, or lightning. You can use the tame dragon to power your forge, but you can also use a wild dragon. You can actually move dragons with pretty much every tool available that moves mobs. Mob imprisonment tool, creature catcher, ender lead, personal shrinking device, soul gems all seem to work. According to the bestiary, you can restrain a dragon with chain lines. These will work just like a lead, except that you can tie these to walls and they cannot be broken. Using these, you can chain a wild dragon to power your forge. Except it doesn't quite work too well. In fact, from my testing, it seems as though the chains are actually what's stopping your dragon from powering the forge. While it was chained up, I could not get the dragon to work on the forge. But funnily enough, as soon as I had freed it from its chains, it got straight to work. I guess wild dragons don't like being chained up. If there are materials in the forge, it'll get straight to work until the job's done. Well, they'll try to at least. They are still prone to bugging out. This one I was testing with is stuck in an animation, but it's not actually working on the forge. This on the other hand looks silly, but seems to be working the best so far. By using the dragon's hitbox, which you can show by pressing F3 and B, I've essentially shackled the dragon in place by boxing into its hitbox with dragon bone walls. And it looks like it's working. This is probably a good time to mention that wild dragons can break blocks, and if trapped, will dig blocks out from underneath them. And that's why we need to use Dragon Bone, because Dragon Bone blocks and Dragon Bone walls are supposed to be some of the few things that they can't break. These bone blocks underneath its hitbox seem to be enough to stop it from digging. Did I mention you can have your own dragon? If you're lucky enough to get an egg from looting a stage 4 or 5 female dragon, you can hatch it and raise it as your own. What kind of dragon do I want? Well, let's go over the options. Each type of dragon comes in 4 different colors. Fire dragons come in red, emerald, bronze, or gray. Ice dragons come in blue, white, sapphire, or silver. And lightning dragons come in electric blue, amethyst, copper, and black. The male dragons also have a more textured wing pattern compared to the females. The different dragons will have different requirements in order to hatch them. To hatch a fire dragon egg, you need to place it on some lit netherrack. An ice dragon egg will need to be placed in some water. And over time, the water will freeze over. A lightning dragon egg will need to be placed under the sky while it's raining. You can make it rain by performing an Ars ritual using a tablet of cloud shaping augmented with gunpowder. If these are done right, you should see the egg start to wiggle. According to the bestiary, all of these eggs will take 3 days to hatch. Thankfully, they actually only take 6 minutes. but can you tick accelerate them? Oh my god, don't try to tick accelerate them. Once your dragon hatches, you notice it'll have an age. It'll grow bigger over time, but otherwise, feeding a dragon meal will help it grow faster. At this stage, you can make a choice. If you want it to stay this size, you can feed it sickly dragon meal. Do note that this process is irreversible, so if you do this, it won't grow anymore, even with dragon meal. It'll stay this size forever. Or ever. So then, what are the differences between the different stages? Every stage lasts for 25 days, with the exception being stage 5. The very obvious main difference is size. They get big real fast. As they get bigger, they'll gain more HP as well as armor. At stage 1, they're small enough where they could sit on your shoulder. You can actually have up to 3 of them on you at one time, and they'll really stick to you. Crouching will make them dismount from your shoulder. At stage 2, they're big enough to use their dragon's breath and power a dragon forge. At stage 3, you can now ride your dragon. By default, you can fly with spacebar and press X to descend, which might feel a bit weird, but that's because shift is dismount. Your dragon also has attacks that you can use. You have the option between a melee attack, or you can use its dragon's breath. Riding your dragon can be kind of obnoxious when your dragon's so big. So when you're in third person, this keybind allows you to use some further zoomed out camera angles. At stage 4, your dragons are now old enough where they have the option to breed. As you can imagine, you'll need a male and female dragon of the same type. To breed them, first we need some lilies. There are different lilies for each type of dragon. Currently you can find lightning lilies in the desert and desert heels in the other. But the thing is, lilies can't actually grow in crimson and warp forests, so they don't actually spawn at the moment. Thankfully, you can find any kind of flower in the hanging gardens in the bumble zone. To get to the bumble zone, use an ender pearl on any beehive or bee's nest, or use a piston to push yourself in. After doing a quick search, I can confirm that you can find lilies here as well. Once you have at least one lily, you can bone meal it to get more. Once you have the lilies, you can craft a lily mixture, and then do I really need to tell you how breeding works? You have a male lightning dragon and a female lightning dragon. You give them both lightning lily mixtures. Something will happen and they'll make a little nest with a dragon egg. At stage 5, well, they big. They still have plenty of room to grow too. Here's a dragon starting at stage 5 versus a fully grown fire dragon. There's also some tools you can craft that can help you manage your dragons. A dragon bone flute will force your dragon to land. This will also work from any other tame flying creatures that you might have from ice and fire. You can actually keep your dragon stored in a dragon horn. With a dragon command staff, you have the options to have your dragon stay, escort you, or wander. Shift right clicking the dragon with the staff will set its home position. This means that when you set it to wander, it'll have the freedom to move around up to 40 blocks from that spot. You can also craft dragon summoning crystals. You combine these to your dragon, then you can use the crystals to summon them, provided that the dragon's in the same dimension and your dragon's in a loaded chunk. Keep in mind that when you use the summoning crystal, it will unbind your dragon, so you will have to rebind it. Do note that it is a little buggy if your dragon's far away. As you can see, I've summoned it, but something's not quite right. You will get stuck if you try mounting it like this. You can fix both of these things by using a dragon horn to store your dragon and resummon it. To help protect them, you can also craft armor for them, the highest tier being dragon steel. To equip the armor, right click your dragon with an empty hand. You'll be able to open up a GUI which gives you a bunch of information about your dragon, and there's also a slot for a banner. Don't forget to feed your dragon as well, as it will slowly get hungry. Feeding them will also heal them. They'll eat pretty much any vanilla meat, and they'll get more out of cooked meat as well. And just like with wild dragons, they'll automatically get to work on a dragon forge if there are materials inside of it. Make sure that they're set to stay, otherwise they can randomly decide to fly away. Another thing to note is that when it hits nighttime, they'll actually stop working and go to sleep, except lightning dragons, because they're actually nocturnal. If you really want them to keep working, you'll have to mount them and manually face them towards the forge. Fire, ice, and lightning. Whether tamed or slain, these beasts are a force to be reckoned with. Is it enough? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? With this knowledge I give to you, you know just what kind of journey lies ahead of you. So now, knowing every step, every struggle, and every reward, with everything in mind, you have but one final question to ask yourself. Should you get a dragon?